Is Sunday observance legalistic? We must spend a little longer on this question, because some erratic spirits are today making a terrible fuss about Sunday. Christians, they complain, are being fed a kind of Judaism, since they still continue to respect certain days. I answer that Judaism has nothing to do with the fact that we observe Sunday, for there is a big difference between us and the Jews. We do not observe it out of strict religious scruples, as if it were a rite replete with what we thought of as a spiritual mystery. Rather, we use it as a necessary remedy so as to maintain good order in the church. Even so, they say, Paul denies that Christians should be judged by the observance of days, since that was a shadow of things to come. For that reason, he fears that his work among the Galatians has been in vain, since they continued to observe certain days. And he assures the Romans that to distinguish one day from another is superstition. Now, what man of sound sense does not understand the kind of observance of which Paul is speaking? The Galatians were not setting out to respect the good government and order of the church, such as we have described. Their concern instead was to retain the feast days as the shadows of spiritual things, and thus obscure Christ's glory and the light of the gospel. They did not refrain from manual work, because this stopped them reflecting on God's word, but did so out of foolish devotion, fancying that by resting they were doing God a favor. It is thus against this perverse teaching that Paul protests, and not against the lawful ordinance established to preserve peace in the Christian fellowship. For it was for that purpose that the churches which he had built up kept the Sabbath, a point he proves by reserving that day as the one on which the Corinthians should bring their alms to the church. If we are afraid of superstition, it is more to be feared on Jewish feast days than it is now on Sundays. For since it was fitting that superstition be abolished, the day which the Jews kept was abandoned, and because it was necessary to maintain order, good government, and peace in the church, another day was substituted. I do not insist on the numeral 7th in order to subject the church to some sort of bondage, for I would not condemn churches which had different solemn days for their gatherings, as long as no superstition was involved. And indeed, there is none when the sole aim is to maintain discipline. To summarize, then, the precept means this. As the truth was revealed to the Jews in symbolic form, so now, devoid of symbols, it is made known to us. Throughout our lives, we must think of a perpetual rest from our works, so that God may work in us by his Spirit. Second, we should observe a legitimate church order in the hearing of the word, the celebration of the sacraments, and the offering of solemn prayers. Third, we should not place excessive burdens on those who are under our authority. In this way, there will be an end to the lies of those false teachers who in times past have fed poor common folk on Jewish beliefs, making no distinction between Sunday and the Sabbath, except by saying that the 7th day, which was formerly in force, has been revoked, but that one day should nevertheless be kept. That is simply to maintain that the day has been changed despite the Jews, and to remain wedded to the superstition which Paul condemns. It is to preserve some secret meaning, as was the case under the Old Testament. To be sure, we can see what fruits their teaching has produced. Those who follow it surpass the Jews in their carnal belief in the Sabbath, so much so that the reproofs which we find in Isaiah apply more to them than to those whom the prophet rebuked in his own time.